We begin this morning with a very special guest. Not many people knew and loved Her Majesty the Queen quite like India Hicks. India is King Charles' goddaughter, and 41 years ago, as a teenager, India stepped out in front of the world as Princess Diana's bridesmaid. That fairy tale ceremony was watched by 750 million people.
But her links with the family go back much further. Her mother, Lady Pamela Hicks, is Prince Philip's cousin and a childhood friend of Queen Elizabeth. Lady Pamela also acted as lady-in-waiting for Her Majesty on several occasions, including while on tour here in Australia.
Writer, designer and philanthropist India Hicks joins us now live from London. Lovely to see you, India. Welcome back to the show. And thanks for your time this morning on what must have been a very emotional week. How are you holding up?
Well, I think like so many, to begin with, it was sort of these feelings of overwhelming and just shock, I think. Not shock because our Queen had died, but shock that the Queen could die. I think we had all imagined she would be with us forever. So many of the people in England and the Commonwealth and beyond have only ever known the Queen. So to have that destabilisation was very unsettling to begin with. But I think what we've seen is King Charles stepping in and stepping up very quickly and very powerfully.
How has your family reacted to the outpouring of love and support from the public? It's impossible for you, I suppose, to even gauge what's going on out there with millions or billions of people feeling this sense of sadness and loss.
Well, I think some of the scenes that you've just shown now there in the hall at Westminster Abbey, you know, to have people queuing through the night, miles and miles and miles, shows the strength and the power that the Queen really had during her reign. And I think what the people are doing are coming to say thank you. They're saying thank you for dedicating your life to us.
You posted this beautiful photo, India. It's of the Queen and your mother, Lady Pamela Hicks. And you paired it with this gorgeous quote from your mum, which read, "To have known her is to have admired her above all else." Can you tell us what Her Majesty meant to you both on a personal level?
Well, certainly for my mother, they were at a time very close. They grew up together, essentially. Actually, Prince Philip really was my mother's first cousin, and he always said that he was the Prince of No Abode. And my grandfather took him in, and as his uncle, he was able to live with my grandparents. And so my mother and aunt very much were with Prince Philip. But my mother also remembers playing with Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret, horses in Buckingham Palace. And so she spent some of her youth with the Queen. And then when the Queen was going on the Commonwealth tour, the first Commonwealth tour, when she was still Princess Elizabeth, she asked my mother to join her. I think it was rather a natural choice in the fact that they were close and my mother was family, and she certainly knew what it would take. She does remember Queen Mary pulling her aside at Buckingham Palace saying, "Now you are a lady in waiting. You are to never call her Lilibet. You are only ever to refer to her as Ma'am or Your Majesty," which I think was slightly intimidating for my mother to suddenly leap from one relationship to another. It was very much a working relationship. But extraordinarily, on that first Commonwealth tour, there they are coming down the steps of the aeroplane. I think they've landed I'm not sure where they've landed there, but it's one of the Commonwealth countries, obviously. But my mother was with the Queen the moment she actually became Queen. And I think that was quite a powerful moment.
India, in going through all these old photos that we've seen you put up so beautifully on social media, is there something that sticks out for you? You've obviously got so many beautiful personal memories. What's your favourite one with the Queen?
You know, she had a real twinkle in her eye, and she had a very good wit. And in fact, my mother says she was a brilliant mimic. And in fact, when they were close to Australia, they were given an afternoon off. They'd had a very, very heavy tour. It was a very rigorous itinerary. They were given an afternoon off, and they found a deserted beach where they thought the Queen, Prince Philip, my mother, and the private secretary would enjoy this afternoon of just gently watching some wildlife. And a boatload of tourists landed on the beach. And the first tourist ran over to the Queen, not recognizing her, and said, "Have you seen Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England? She is apparently here." And the Queen said, "Yes, She went that way, and the tourists very excitedly ran off in that direction. So she definitely had a very acute sense of humour, and she was a great wit.
Her Majesty passed away at Balmoral Castle, which of course we know. India, you've said that the Queen wanted to die in Scotland. Can you tell us about that?
You know, I think that many people have suggested the same thing. The Queen really felt at home in Scotland. It's somewhere that she spent a great deal of her time. Obviously, that extended August month where she had time away from the office, time away from those incredible red boxes that she had to take care of. And Scotland was the place she wanted to be. And now everybody is supposing that really she rather intentionally took herself up there so that she was able to die very much at peace, surrounded by the air and the countryside and the place that she loved so much. Of course, one of the things that's so brilliant about that was how unifying it was, that actually it really brought Scotland and England together.
Okay. You are King Charles's goddaughter and second cousin. Plenty of people around the world right now trying to work out where they sit with King Charles, how they feel about him. What's the real King Charles like, would you say?
You know, he's been a very brilliant, very dedicated godfather, very imaginative with the way that he looks after one and takes on his role as a godfather. You know, there was a time where I was studying photography, and he invited me to go and take his Christmas card, his photograph for his Christmas card, and the boys were very young, Diana was still alive. And how thoughtful is that, to know that I'm studying photography and then ask me, invite me to do that. I think what is extraordinary about him is the precedent that he has set in his passion for ecology and environment. And I think we're going to see that now, that actually this is a king who really, really has dedicated those 73 years of apprenticeship to the causes and the foundations that meant so much to him. I'm an ambassador for the Prince's Trust. I'm very proud of that. I work very hard for it. And really, it is all about youth. And the Prince of Wales, now King Charles, felt that we needed to pay attention to those disadvantaged, especially disadvantaged youth. And the Prince's Trust does an incredible and astonishing amount of work to bring those disadvantaged back into society, to give them the options and the advantages in life that so many of us take for granted that they don't have. I think now he will be much more busy than ever before and will have less time for his charities, but they're already in motion. These are huge global affairs. But it was a brilliant example that as a Prince of Wales, there are incredible things that you can be doing. And he did not squander his time in any way.
And come Monday, India, it's going to be a very, very difficult time, the funeral on Monday? I think
it will be a mix of emotions. For the royal family, it will essentially, in some respects, be a working day. They will have to have their public face on, as my mother refers to it. I think the days following will be very, very emotional. When you're in front of the public like that, there is little time to consider your own emotions, and nor should there be. But of course, there will be that private ceremony after the two more formal ones, where they will lay the Queen to rest. And I think that will be the moment that it really strikes them all. From now until then, they will be unbelievably busy. And that's probably a good thing, that the pomp and the circumstance and this pageantry of it all will sweep them along, and they won't have time to grieve. But I think come Monday evening, that will be the time where it goes quiet, and they really will have to accept and deal with the depth of their sorrow.
I was going to ask you about that public face and that private face. And we understand King Charles has the day off today, where he's just out of the spotlight. How do you think that day would be going? What would that look like behind closed doors, do you think?
I don't think it really will be a day off at all. I think all it means is that there won't be cameras thrust into his face when he has a slight moment with an ink pen. It won't be recorded globally. It won't go viral immediately. I think he'll be working every minute of today and deep into the night, because I think that's who he is. But just to be away from the spotlight must be a relief for a moment.
I just want to talk about the pen incident, but in general terms about the access the media has now, social media now that exists now, and it's at the forefront of the way news is delivered, messages are delivered around the world. The face of being a royal and being in charge has changed, right? You have to be conscious of that all of the time now.
Yes, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you're born into that position and you have to live with it. There is no choice about it. There's no choice at all. And you have to live with the world scrutinizing every step you take. But I think if it's used wisely and well, that there are wonderful things that they can do with this access that we all have to them now. And I think we're beginning to see that with the work that William and Catherine are doing. We're all very familiar with their passions and their beliefs, and they are able to use social media in a way that they can share just enough to sort of allow us to feel that we know them, but not too much that the aura of the sovereignty is compromised. So I think one hopes that as the monarchy modernizes, which it's doing, the family is it's getting smaller. There's just that inner circle, that inner working circle that really has the advantages of the royal life, as it should be, and they are taking advantage of all the technology that's at our fingertips now.
If we cast our mind back to 24 hours ago, as we saw those moments of the coffin leaving Buckingham Palace for the last time, and we did see Prince William and Prince Harry together, and Prince William has said publicly that it did bring back a lot of memories of that time when they had to walk behind the coffin of their mother, the late Princess Diana. Was it nonetheless heartwarming to see the boys together for you, India?
I think everybody at this time probably is thinking the same thing. Family is very, very important. And I think the Queen would be feeling very pleased that all of her children and her grandchildren are together beside her and following her.
All right, well, we know you've got a tumultuous few days ahead, and we can't begin to comprehend what's happening in your life at this point in time. So we absolutely do really, really appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much indeed.
India, thank you so much.